Good morning, beautiful souls, and welcome to our gut and hormone reset class today. Thank you so much for taking the time to join. I know life is busy and it can be hard to carve out time for ourselves, but that is one of the things we're going to go over today as we move into midlife, how important it is to start to carve out that little time for ourselves to nourish our bodies, our souls, our spirits. So yes, today we are going to go over just some things that are changing as we go through midlife and what's really happening with our hormone shifts and how we can best adjust to kind of roll with those punches. We'll talk about some energy changes that are also happening and get some tools that we can use to kind of mitigate those changes. It's just going to be pretty relaxed and conversational. Feel free to drop any questions in the chat. I'll try to answer them as we go, but I might end up just leaving it for the end depending on where we are in the class. So yeah, just sit back and relax. Maybe turn off your phone, close the door, and just take this time for yourself. Okay, so here we are, reclaiming your energy, the gut hormone reset for women. Your hormone harmony really does begin in the gut. It is the foundation of the rest of your body's health. So let's get to it. So, who am I? My name is Heather. I have been focused on wellness for over 30 years. Myself and others, I did have a wellness magazine before the interwebs days when it was really hard to find information about health and wellness. That did turn into on into a website and eventually into a wellness supplement brand called New Cell Nutrition that I had for several years. No matter how prepared I thought I was, midlife still, kind of sucker punched me. So I'm here to help you if you're just starting on your journey to hopefully avoid some of the pitfalls. If you're already going through it or are on the post-menopause side and still kind of trying to figuring out this new body that you're living in, then that's why we're here today. So yeah, we're all on a journey of learning together. And I'm always open and welcome to everyone sharing their experiences. This is a picture of me that I chose. This was just after I'd finished my yoga teacher training in India. And then you can't see it in the background here, but that's Mount Everest. And then my partner Justin and I, we trekked to Everest Base Camp. So I look back on this as being one of the times when I felt my best in life. And so to use that as a marker of not somewhere to get back to, but just something to hold as a vision of energy and vitality that I would like to maintain. So let's just take a minute to kind of drop in and open the circle. So wherever you are, if you can just sit back and close your eyes, get comfortable in your chair, take a deep breath and just sigh it out. And you can either put your hands in your lap or put your left hand on your heart, your right hand on your abdomen, and just begin to drop in and feel your breath. Let go of any distractions, anything that happened already this morning, anything that might be on the agenda for later. Just leave those to the side so you can focus this next time just on yourself. Close your eyes and just begin to feel into your body. How does your body feel right now? Do a bit of a scan and just connect with where you are. And now I want you to think back to when you were just a kid, when you didn't even really think about your body, just running, jumping, playing, bike riding. How did you feel in your body? And then moving forward into puberty, the changes that start to happen, turning from a girl into a young woman. How was that for you? How was your body for your first menstruations? How did the people around you deal with your body as it changed? And then move forward again to becoming a young woman. How did you treat your body? Was there comparison or shame or embarrassment, trauma, injuries? Just feel all the sensations that your body has experienced, the diets, the exercise, the punishments, the pain of injuries, maybe the awe of your body creating life and bearing children. Just feel all of the history that you have with your body. The relationship with the body is the most intimate relationship that we will ever have. And ideally, we're not even halfway through. So today, let's find a truce. Let's make a commitment to create a partnership, a dialogue, a two-way street of communication so that the next half of our life can be as full of health and vitality and joy as it can possibly be. And if you can now, just see yourself outside of your body and just see your body, everything that you've been through and gone through together. And just step forward and take her and just wrap her in your arms. And let's just come to a place of peace, forgiveness, and love, letting the past wash away and letting today be the start of a new chapter of a new relationship. And just take three more deep breaths. And then whenever you're ready, you can just open your eyes. Okay, so let's dive in. We'll start with a little look at what's going on with our hormones and why our gut is so important right now as we move into, through, and beyond menopause. Okay, so the gut is like a control center for your hormones. It it makes a lot of your hormones, it activates your hormones, it clears your hormones. When it's inflamed or out of balance, it's all going to suffer. So we're going to talk about that today. Some of the habits that we have that do disrupt our hormones and how we can support that and move forward. So why now? I don't know if you've talked to your mother about her menopause or if it's still kind of a taboo subject. I don't know about, in this generation, it wasn't really talked about. My mother never talked about her menopause, my aunts never heard anybody even talk about it. And so we're not doing it the same. Our menopause is not the same as our mother's menopause. We have so much more access to information. We have access to each other. We have more community. And so why now? This is one of my favorites quotes is that when sleeping women wake, mountains move. And so the world needs us. The world needs our wisdom. It needs our experience. It needs our energy. And so if we are struggling with our moods, with our hormones, with our bodies, we're not really fully activating into our full potential. And like I said, midlife is just that. It's the middle of our life. So we have the other whole half of our life to live. And so we want to make sure that it's not a downhill slide. It's maybe a gentle hike. So let's go into the big picture and meet our hormones. As women, we are so sensitive to our environments, and that's not just our energetic environments, but our physical environments. Now we're exposed to so many toxins, microplastics, heavy metals, parasites, chemtrails, whatever you want to say, you know, pesticides in our food, it affects us much more than it does men. So we are sensitive. So we'll kind of talk about how, our cortisol, our stress and survival hormones, our estrogen, which controls our energy, our mood, our metabolism, our thyroid hormones connect our metabolism and our body temperature, our insulin is blood sugar, fat storage, all of these things. Today, though, we're mainly going to focus on the gut. This is actually going to be a series of about 3 or maybe 4 webinars where I kind of break it down. There's just so much information to cover. Today, we're going to focus just on the gut, and then the next will probably be adrenals and then thyroid, and then we'll see from there. So in our gut, we make about 90% of our serotonin. This is our feel-good hormones, and about anywhere from 20 to 50% of our dopamine is created in our gut. So if our gut is imbalanced, we're not making those hormones, and it's going to affect our mood. It's going to affect our brain. Our gut also focuses on our thyroid hormones. They get broken down in the liver and then excreted out through the gut, ideally. And again, if that isn't happening, then we are not going to be feeling our best. We technically are our hormones. This is our endocrine system. The way you feel is completely controlled by your hormones. And so all of your glands that control your hormones need to be in balance in order for you to feel like yourself. And because when we go through menopause, our hormones completely shift, menopause fundamentally changes who we are. And it can be a bit of a shock if we're not prepared for the changes that are happening. Our brains are literally getting rewired. Okay, so symptoms of hormonal imbalance. Let me just move this here. You may have felt some of these, you may have not felt any of them yet, or maybe you wouldn't be here. So we get mood swings as our serotonin and our dopamine and our estrogen and our progesterone are swinging around like, squirrels at a rave. It affects our moods. We don't know why, but we can be on the kind of heavy end of a pendulum being swung around by the way we feel. Acne, you thought you left this behind in your teenage years? Nope, it can still come back as hormonal acne, especially along the jawline or here around the chin. Headaches also can be very common. Sleep problems, very common. So many hormones affect our sleep as well as what can be happening with our liver. Digestive problems, we'll talk about that quite a bit today. Weight gain, of course. Vaginal dryness, that's my favorite. A loss of sex drive as our testosterone drops. Night sweats also is going to contribute to our sleep problems. And then we start to get irregular periods. We start to miss our period. Our periods become heavier, and it can be very disruptive. I sometimes say if men went through menopause, it probably would be considered a disability. But we're women, so here we are, just soldiering through. Changes in your breast tissue. That's also very common, and an increased susceptibility to infections. This affects as our mucous membranes dry out a little bit. They become more permeable and less able to fight off bacteria. So that is also another important part of healing in the gut. I don't know. This is my first time using Canva, so I'm not really sure how it works here. Skipping around here. All right, so who knows where you are in this wonderful transition? This is premenopause. This is typically what a normal period cycle goes through. You've got your follicular stimulating hormone that's going to release your eggs. You've got your luteinizing hormone that's going to stimulate the follicle. You've got your estrogen and your progesterone that kind of ebb and wane through the month. And then we come to this wonderful time called perimenopause. Perimenopause can last more than 10 years, depending on your own particular situation. So this is why having these tools to help you ride these crazy waves. I mean, I just love this because this really kind of captures what we are going through. It does look like, I like to say, squirrels at a rave. And then we kind of glide into this postmenopausal period where you think, oh, well, maybe this is it. Maybe we're done. But if we haven't managed our hormones well here, we can end up with different types of health problems on this end. So we'll get through all of that as we go. So today we're going to be focusing on gut imbalance. Now, your gut, you may have been dealing with gut imbalance for several years, but menopause is kind of a time where our habits and our history catch up with us. You know, the chickens come home to roost. So if we haven't been taking good care of ourselves, we sort of have developed a cumulative burden and it starts to collapse right around midlife when our hormones and other stressors don't allow our body to cope with them the way they did in the past. So you may have any of these symptoms of gut un, of an unhealthy gut. So could be different bowel problems, maybe constipation or loose stools, gas, issues with your skin are typically tied directly to your gut, which we'll see a little bit later. In the whole scheme of things, your skin is the largest organ in your body, but it's also the very last on the list to receive nutrients. So if your liver, if your spleen, if your pancreas, if your other organs are nutrient deficient, it's going to come out of your skin, which is why beautiful skin is a hallmark of good health because it signifies that the rest of the body is so healthy that there's extra nutrition that's able to go to the skin. So if we are relying on creams or external topicals to try to heal our skin, beautiful skin really starts inside the body and especially with the gut. So along with flatulent, maybe bloating or gas, acid reflux, very common. Nutritional deficiencies, even if you're eating all the right things, it's not really what you eat, it's what you absorb. So how is your body absorbing the nutrients or not absorbing the nutrients that you're consuming? Again, with constipation, there could be loose stools, abdominal pain as your food digests and transit through the intestine. Is it causing pain? Is there colitis, IBS, gastritis, different inflammations? Any itis is an inflammation. And then poor mental health. As I mentioned, your neurotransmitters are made in your gut. Depression and even ADD all can be symptoms of an imbalance in our intestinal system. So here we have the good, the bad, and the ugly. This is typically what we see as for a healthy colon. Now, this is just the large intestine. It's not anything with the stomach or small intestine. So here we've got your appendix. Food enters from the small intestine. It's already been broken down, ideally at this point, and starts to move through the colon. And we've got all those little villi and hairs that they're like little wave-like hairs, and the peristaltic action that moves things through. The muscular contractions of the bowel that move your waste products through is called peristalsis. It's stimulated by coffee, which is why a strong coffee will help you go to the bathroom, but it's also mainly needs to be stimulated by fiber, by bulk in the digestive system that gives the outside edges of the colon something to grab onto, to wave through. If the colon is filled with matter that is not fibrous, it doesn't really have anything to squeeze onto. So here we can see this is a very unhealthy colon. So we can see that there's buildup here, that the body isn't able to move, that there's blockages, that there's a thinning here, and more blockages here, more thinning here, and then a backup here into the rectum. So In this kind of situation, this is going to be a bit of a longer term healing situation. And in this situation, you would not want to increase fiber because it's just going to create a lot of stress in this system. A lot of health professionals will say, just eat more fiber, just eat more fiber. Depending on how unhealthy your colon is, more fiber is actually not going to help you until you've kind of regained a little bit of more health the in this area. That's something I go more to in with group coaching and private coaching, but it's something to just be aware of if you do feel like your gut is unhealthy, depending on the level of health, more fiber might not just be the ultimate solution. So, what do we have going on in our gut? It really is the foundation of health for all the other systems of our body. If the gut is unhealthy, it's our sewage system where we remove all the waste from the body, dead red blood cells, undigested proteins, viruses, bacteria, waste matter from the food that we eat. Our small intestine is digesting all the food that we consume. And it doesn't matter if you do, say you want to do a parasite cleanse or a heavy metal cleanse. If your colon isn't healthy enough to be able to excrete those toxins, it doesn't matter what other system you're cleaning, if you're doing a liver cleanse or a kidney cleanse. The colon has to be the first part because that is the one that's going to support the detoxification of the rest of the body. As you could see in that last picture, it's true that people carry between 10 and 20 pounds of unprocessed waste in their colon. And sometimes you'll see people posting like they started something and they just instantly lost 10 or 12 pounds. Can be a combination of water weight, but also just backed up waste from their sewer system. Our body, not just the gut, is home to trillions and trillions of bacteria. And those bacteria are communicating with our nervous system. And that is why it's sometimes called the second brain or the enteric nervous system. It's a two-way street. So the gut is sending information to the brain is sending information to the gut. Back in, ancient Greece, they believed that the brain resided in the gut. They didn't really know what the lump of matter in the skull was for. 100 trillion bacteria, if you think about it, our body is about 70 trillion cells. So a healthy body is really more bacteria than it is anything else. So antibiotics, any antibacterials can really upset that balance of the flora of the body. Our gut helps to break down and remove estrogen. It converts our thyroid hormones, and it does produce, as I mentioned, our neurotransmitters like serotonin and dopamine. So when our gut is healthy, then we have balanced hormones and a stable mood. The vagus nerve also controls the sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous systems. So the sympathetic nervous system is the fight and flight, and the parasympathetic nervous system is called rest and digest. So if you're in a sympathetic nervous state or a high stress state and you're eating food, your body is not really digesting it properly. We need to be in a very calm state of mind when we're eating, and that's something we'll go over in a little bit here. So the vagus nerve is the main nerve that comes out of your brainstem and controls all your autonomic processes, such as your blood pressure, your breathing rate, your heart rate. So it's kind of like the master nerve that we need to be aware of and focus on. So as you can see, just having a healthy intestinal system is the most important starting point for good health. If we were building a house of health, that digestive system is the foundation. It's the floor. Whatever we build on top of it, if the foundation isn't strong, it's not going to last. So I'm sure maybe you've heard this tossed around, leaky gut, leaky gut. What is leaky gut? It's exactly what it sounds like. The gut is leaking. A healthy gut. Now, our intestinal wall is only one cell thick, just one cell. It's not a gigantic, even if you think about our blood vessels, how you can see how much thicker and elastic they are. the intestinal wall is one cell thick. So it needs to be tightly bound. These junctions need to be very tightly connected. Here's the little villi that I talked about that sort of waves everything along. And the enzymes here in your small intestine are going to break down your food into usable particles that then get absorbed into the bloodstream. In a leaky gut, these junctions are not tight. These undigested particles are allowed to flow through directly into the bloodstream. So we could have partially digested proteins, all different kinds of matter from the gut that's missing this protection. So what happens when the system, when your body finds these foreign particles, it enacts a immune response. It's an invader. So white blood cells, your C-reactive protein, all of these things go towards fighting these invaders. Causes antibiotics. Just one round of antibiotics can completely upset the flora balance, and it technically will never be the same again. So I'm sure we've all had at least one round of antibiotics in our life, in our lifetime. So we can all assume that we do, unless we focused on it, we have some level of of gut inflammation. So it's it's just can't be stressed enough how important this is. This is like the number one thing of why we're starting with the gut, is to repair our gut is going to alleviate so many other health issues that we could be prone to, including autoimmune diseases, which are an inflammatory disease. So because we're talking mainly about our hormones today, leaky gut leads to poor estrogen metabolism. So estrogen, when we are menstruating, is released from our ovaries, and it does its job, and then it goes to the liver to be broken down and then excreted into the gut. So when we have leaky gut, these estrogens are not leaving the body. They're being recirculated back into the bloodstream, back into the body, these estrogen metabolites. And that's what leads to what is called estrogen dominance. The ideal is that our body is removing the estrogen once we've used it, and then the ovaries will release more. So when it's not properly metabolized, then we're going to get irregular or heavy periods, bloating, weight gain, and that's typically seen around the hips and the thighs, tenderness in the breast, mood swings, anxiety, and irritability. The gut bacteria that are responsible for breaking down and regulating the estrogen elimination is called the estrobolome, and there are specific probiotics that are used to kind of support the estrobolome. So if the gut is sluggish, like we saw in that toxic colon, or if the estrogen is breaking through in the leaky gut, it's going to cause monthly problems with our cycle, but over time, it can increase the risk of some serious health issues, including hormone-related cancers. They're tied to a link of increased risk of breast cancer and uterine cancers, endometriosis, and fibroids. Can be an accumulation of estrogen that is contributing to these conditions. So also, if we've got the liver is overworked or taxed, or then it might not even be being broken down properly. And then if we're missing that gut bacteria that produces the enzymes that allows the estrogen to be recirculated, it's going to keep our estrogen levels too high. So that can lead to all kinds of health issues. So we come down to the gist of it. We need to maintain a healthy liver and a gut to ensure that proper estrogen metabolism and hormone balance is happening. And especially as we move into menopause and our estrogen is decreasing, it is only decreasing from our ovaries. And we'll get into that in the next video about the adrenal system, about how the adrenal system takes over the production of estrogen for us. So, what are we doing day to day that is causing these issues to our gut? I'm sure there's not going to be too many surprises here. Stress, of course, is the number one. Stress raises your cortisol, which means you're not going to get enough sleep. When you're not getting enough sleep, then you're getting more stressed. As we age, high intensity workouts, we're going to have to really look at where we are in our cortisol regulation and are our exercise habits increasing our cortisol. This was a hard one for me. I love a HIIT workout. I love spin. I love that sweating, leaving it all out there. As we move into menopause, if our cortisol is too high, this is just going to raise our cortisol and we're not going to be able to lose weight. It's going to be really counterintuitive. As women, we are the ones that bear the brunt of mostly the pressures of home and family. You might have kids at different stages of life. You might have aging parents that you're responsible for. There's a lot of, I think it's called the sandwich generation where you're getting pressure from both sides. Probably working full time, trying to, just make the mortgage payments and give your kids, a happy childhood. It can be a lot. And we are live in a society where we don't find a lot of support. Blue light at night, we all know this. We're guilty of, scrolling on the phone. If it is, this is sort of how I look at it. You can use blue light glasses if it really is something that, helps you de-stress. There's a whole section about, dopamine addiction to scrolling. But what are you scrolling? Are you doom scrolling? Are you getting caught in these, downward cycles of I don't know, crime or the news or the economics, the politics? Is that giving you stress or are you watching, cat videos? Is it something where you're getting your humor, where it's helping you de-stress by, having a more lightness to it? So those are just things to consider. And maybe one rule would be don't use your phone in bed. Just have it to the side. When you go to bed, you're in bed. Phone stays somewhere else. To use the phone, you get up, you go use it somewhere else. When you're under this constant state of stress, we're in that sympathetic nervous system. Like I said, we're in that fight or flight. We're not designed to live there. We're designed to have access to that so that if we are in a stressful situation, that we have the ability to react. When we're living under constant stress, constant state of sympathetic nervous system, it's just affecting so many other systems in the body. Like I said, we're not in the rest and digest. We're in that fight or flight. So we've got this chronic elevated cortisol, which is burning out our adrenals, and it's also depleting our progesterone and our thyroid hormones. And those are the ones that help us get a good sleep as well. So these are all things that we know. There's no surprises here, but it's just understanding their relationship. And as I said, as we come into midlife, the habits that we've gotten into maybe aren't going to work for us anymore. The body is just going to give us a hard no. If you want to sleep, then you can't use your phone. Or if you want to have good digestion, then you're going to have to find a way to get back into your parasympathetic nervous system. So the number two issue that we find is not getting enough protein or not eating enough food. I struggle with this. I mean, I don't know if you've talked to your doctor. Hopefully you have a good doctor. And I guess I might have mentioned this at the beginning, but I'm not a medical professional. None of this is intended to replace any advice that you would get from your doctor. Ideally, you have a really great physician who wants to work with you, wants to understand what you're going through, and isn't just going to, you know, paint you with the same brush as all of the other patients because that can be sometimes a tendency in the medical system. So, uh, this is the blood sugar roller coaster. I don't know if I can scroll it in here. So, ideally, we're living in this range where our blood sugar goes up when we eat and then it balances out again. What happens, say in the morning, you have sugary carbs for breakfast. Boom. It's going right up. Anytime your blood sugar spikes, your pancreas has to release insulin to bring it back down. So over time, what happens with diabetes is the pancreas gets taxed from releasing insulin all the time and finally just kind of gives up, and then you become insulin dependent on getting an external source. So ideally, we want to really control our blood sugar. In my more private and small group coaching, we do a lot of following the blood sugar and ketones and making sure that you're staying within a healthy range. So, yeah, you get a sugar rush. Maybe you have donuts or sugar in your coffee or whatever else you like to eat for breakfast. But then all of a sudden, a few hours later, your blood sugar plummets. Then that's called the crash. And then you start to crave carbs. That's the feeling of hunger is usually a low blood sugar. So when we're just using carbs as our main food source, we're really missing out on nourishing the body. So protein, 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 protein. You need to be ideally having, I think they're saying 1 gram of protein per pound of ideal body weight. It's a lot, or maybe it's 0.8. I'll have to check. 0.8 or 1 pound, 1 gram of protein per ideal body weight. If your ideal body weight is 130 pounds, that's 100 to 130 grams of protein a day. In 3 meals, you need to be having 30 grams of protein or a bit less, and then with a couple of snacks. Skipping meals. We'll talk about intermittent fasting. That's a little bit different than skipping meals. But if you're forgetting to eat, if you're too busy running the kids around and just grabbing easy carbs, it's really gonna take a toll on your metabolism. Your thyroid needs a minimum of 8 to 1200 calories a day just to function. If you're not getting enough calories, then it's going to, over time, really impair the ability of the thyroid. We'll talk about that more when we do the thyroid call. We'll do a thyroid webinar and really talk about how the thyroid functions. So when your insulin spikes, your cortisol spikes. When your cortisol spikes, your body will not lose weight. It absolutely won't. Cortisol is the sign to your body that we're in a stress mode, we're in fight or flight. We don't have time to be releasing fat. We're focused on dealing with whatever this stress is in front of us. So it's really important to notice that as well. And the third thing is we've kind of alluded to is not getting enough protein. Oh, this is the same as the other one. Skipping meals. Grabbing easy carbs. Now we're running around, maybe we're at work, we didn't have a chance to make our lunch. We want to focus on more complex carbs, which is vegetables. We want to really reduce simple carbs. Some fruit is okay, lower carb uh, fruits like berries are typically okay. And again, we just want to focus on coffee's okay, a glass of wine is okay. Coffee is a nervous system stimulant. Well, alcohol is a nervous system depressant. If you're using caffeine and alcohol, if you're using caffeine to wake you up in the morning, and then if you're using a glass of wine to wind down at night, you're not really allowing the natural rhythms of your body to work. If you're waking up in the night, it's typically going to be because maybe you've had a glass of wine. And again, in my more private or small coaching, we get a little bit more into that. So what can we do? Okay, so this is the bad news. I'm sure there's no surprises there. We all know there's at least 3 things we could be doing that we're not, and there's 3 things that we shouldn't be doing that we are. So let's just focus on one thing. just choosing one thing that we can change, something that's manageable, something that's easy, and something that is going to just really fit into our life and not create a lot of extra stress because, again, stress on top of stress is just more stress. So I mentioned before the vagus nerve is that gut-brain superhighway. It connects the brain to the rest of the nervous system in the body. And the communication goes both ways, which is why we feel so much in our gut. We feel fear, we feel nervous, we feel anxious. And so those signals are being sent to the brain as well. The brain is sending signals there. As we mentioned, many of the neurotransmitters made there. So how do we keep ourselves in the rest and digest and out of the fight or flight? We want to really find a way to be more calm in our daily life. It's a kind of a vicious circle where if we're not making the calm hormones or we're making the stress hormones or our cortisol is high, it's harder to prioritize these things. But once you can prioritize breathing, meditation, sleep, an extra hour of sleep is probably the best medicine that you can get, and it's completely free. Getting fresh air every day, yoga, tai chi, swimming, slowing down, calming down, and then healing that leaky gut. So there is something called the GAPS diet. This is what I used to heal myself of some issues that I was having. I really can't recommend this book highly enough. It's just a phenomenal, phenomenal book and so easy to read. It is a little bit more of an extreme approach. So depending on how severe your issues are, let's see if I can zoom in here. So if you do have allergies, if you do have an autoimmune disease, if you're noticing some arthritis or some hormonal problems, it might be something that you want to look into. Again, even you can just read the book and then adopt a few things from it. But it's not an overnight fix. Okay, so what we can do, we can eat more fermented foods, fermented sauerkraut, kimchi, kefir, kombucha. These are going to add billions and billions and billions of probiotics into your gut, which is going to help repair any kind of loose joints between the cells. As I said, it's one cell wall thick. Those cells are turning over fairly rapidly, a few times a month. So it can be easier to fix those cells because we're always building new cells there. As I said, eating fiber can be a solution depending on the severity of your gut health. Prebiotics, fermented foods we set up there. I will recommend probiotics, but I would say there's been some recent studies that a lot of the probiotics do not contain nearly the amount of bacteria or probiotics that they claim. So the best would be to go to your health food store, speak to somebody that works in the supplement department, not the grocery store, not the drugstore, an actual health food store. Ideally, they might be refrigerated, but they're going to help you find the best probiotic for you and your situation. Avoid sugar. I mean, it can be an addiction. If we are addicted to sugar, that's the bacteria or possibly the parasites in your gut that are giving you those cravings. It's not you. It's not you that creates the sugar. It that craves the sugar. It's the system that needs it. That's how they thrive, okay? So, by cutting off their food source, you're going to eliminate a lot of the unhealthy bacteria. Same with alcohol. I'm not saying never to have a glass of wine. I'm just saying to choose it wisely with friends, a night out, something something that's relaxing you, not as a crutch to help you calm down at the end of the day. Processed oils, we'll go through this more in the group coaching. Any kind of seed oil, any kind of item that you have in your fridge that contains a seed oil, just get rid of it. They contain what they're starting to call obesogens. These prevent your cells from, they create insulin resistance in your cell. We'll get more into it maybe in one of the other videos, but just avoiding those oils. You should have coconut oil. It's great for cooking. Olive oil, great for salad dressings. Avocado oil in moderation, also wonderful choices. No canola oil, no sunflower oil, no vegetable oil, no safflower oil. Throw those in the garbage. They're literally a toxic waste. So as we feed the microbiome, as these are what prebiotics are, if you've never heard that word before, prebiotics are food for the good bacteria. So ideally, we want to build up the good bacteria, and then that's going to help us with our hormone balance. Supplements. Now, again, in the private and group coaching, we'll get you on supplements specifically for you. I wouldn't just recommend adding whatever supplements without understanding your specific situation, but you're welcome to always do your own research and decide what's best for you. L-glutamine helps to heal the lining of the gut, smooths out the biofilm or any kind of holes in the gut that can be caused, through ulcers or overuse of non-steroid anti-inflammatories. Bone broth, same thing. Not just your regular box of broth, but actual bone broth that contains the glycine and the collagen. Zinc is also a good one. Collagen, as I mentioned. Probiotics, as I said, make sure that you're going to your health food store and finding a high quality probiotic. Cabbage juice is really coming out. It has a ton of glutamine. It's great for healing the digestive system. Maybe it sounds gross to you. I don't know. I love cabbage. I haven't tried it yet. That's probably going to be on my list of to-dos this week. A gentle colon cleanse I would recommend if your gut is kind of already looking like this. As I said, if we're looking at that terribly unhealthy gut, you don't want to start with a colon cleanse, okay? That would be something where you're going to need a more one-on-one. And how do you know? Well, there's different ways we can tell. Teas, lots of marshmallow root, dandelion root, licorice, all really great teas for healing the gut. And then herbs, same, marshmallow, fenugreek, slippery elm. There's a lot of different herbs that you can look into that are going to help as well. One of the easiest and least expensive ways to heal your gut is intermittent fasting. The longer that you do abstain from food, the more time that your body has to heal itself. It goes from a metabolic state where it's breaking down food into an anabolic state where it's healing itself, where it's getting rid of old and dead cells, where it's basically cleaning up the junk. So depending on different hours of fasting, we'll be going through that in future videos. And again, that is something that we do in my group coaching program. The other thing is to remove food triggers. Gluten is appropriately named. It literally is like a glue in your intestines. It can create a very sticky biofilm, very hard for our bodies to digest. Processed foods, same thing, full of sugar, full of unhealthy fats, very low in protein and very low in fiber. Something to just consider. So yeah, our balanced hormones start with a clean exit strategy, and that exit strategy is, of course, our colon. So what else can we do? Slow down. We really need to not be eating on the run, never eat standing up. And this was a game changer for me. Breathe while you're eating. As I'm eating, as I'm chewing, I'm taking deep breaths. And that forces you to slow down your chewing and digest your food better. Food digestion starts in the mouth, especially starches. Hydrate. Are you drinking enough water? As well as electrolytes. Are you getting the right balance of minerals? our food and soils are so depleted that we really do need to be making sure that we are getting enough salt and enough electrolytes. Some people, depending on if they have acid reflux or what their situation is with their stomach, they might need to add some digestive enzymes. Our digestive enzymes do decrease significantly as we age, so sometimes can be helpful to add those in. So as we detoxify, yes, we want to add in cruciferous vegetables, broccoli, cauliflower, cabbage, Brussels sprouts. Just wonderful, wonderful. They really help to remove estrogens from the body. Hydration, as we said, water, and then selective fiber, depending on how healthy your gut is, if it can tolerate it. And then we want to move daily and sweat to help eliminate toxins, but we just want to avoid those high intensity workouts. We could do a sauna for maybe 10 to 15 minutes. Any longer, it's going to start to raise cortisol. Move, walk, gentle jogging, yoga, all those things are just going to help your body to eliminate toxins. So, what can we do? Reduce stress, reduce sugar and carbs, reduce alcohol, get more sleep. 9 hours a night should be a minimum right now for you. This is where the main healing is going to be happening. If you're not getting good quality sleep, again, we go over that in my other coaching programs to help you understand what is impacting your sleep and rectify it. Get more protein, supplement as needed, get some fresh air, and then have water and leafy greens, pardon me. So every hormone that we have depends on our gut. And so when it's balanced, then we can produce, convert, and clear our hormones naturally. Okay, so let's just go through and see if we have any questions so far. Looks like we are good for now. You can always just drop those into the chat. I'm going to post the video on YouTube, so all of the links and questions can be answered there. So that was kind of our physical body. We all have it. We all know that we have our cells, but there's a lot more to us than just our cells. We are more than the sum of our parts, and midlife is our time to rebalance that. We do have a whole new chapter, and we are literally becoming a whole new person. So it's not a breakdown, even though I'm sure we've had our fair share. It's just a realignment of our energy, and we can embrace it. So in Chinese medicine, we all have these energy meridians. Today, we're going to just be talking about the intestinal meridians, and not as much about the stomach, but we have the large intestine and the small intestine meridian. So these are ways, I'm sure Chinese medicine isn't as kind of cutting edge or on the fringe as it used to be. It's a lot more mainstream. I highly recommend going to visit somebody that is a doctor of Chinese medicine that can give you a rundown on where you're blocked, where you're weak. Menopause is a time of yin deficiency, where our yin is out of balance. So we can really focus on increasing our yin energy. So today we're just going to talk about our large intestine meridian. There's our stomach meridian and the small intestine meridian. So the other number one thing that we can do to improve our digestion is to breathe. So as I mentioned, the vagus nerve is what switches us from sympathetic to parasympathetic nervous system. It's like we need to have a flexible switch. We need to be able to relax, and we need to be able to deal with a stressful situation when needed. The trouble comes when we get stuck in one or the other. If that switch is stuck in stress and we can't do anything to wind down, we can't sit still, we can't calm our mind, we can't. The breath is the way that we control the autonomic nervous system. So it moves the body automatically from sympathetic into parasympathetic, because when you're in a stressful state or when you're in a heightened state, your breathing becomes more shallow. So by reverse engineering it and slowing down your breathing, it's going to calm your brain. As well, as you breathe in and you let your abdomen expand, it's gently massaging your lower internal organs. It's gently pushing down on your transverse colon and forcing a little bit of pressure into the abdominal area. It's also going to increase the amount of oxygen you have in your blood and help you relax. So just take a moment, take a deep breath. I think on the Apple Watch, you can set it to remind you to breathe. And that might be something, if you have one, that you might want to try. And just do 3 deep breaths. And ideally stand up. Maybe if you're working at your desk, it's a good time to just stretch and refocus. It's going to give you more mental energy as well. So, as I mentioned, we're more than just our physical body. At this point in our life, we've probably had enough experience to know that there's more going on than just, a brain with heart and lungs and digestion. We have our emotions, and they are intimately tied to our physical body. Again, it's a two-way street. So, disruption in the small intestine feels like the feeling of being overwhelmed. So, how do we absorb experiences? How do we process our day if we're feeling overwhelmed? It can be a dysfunction in the small intestine. The large intestine, letting go and releasing, makes sense. It's associated with the process of elimination physically and emotionally. So, if you're having issues in your large intestine or you're having issues in releasing old emotions or hanging on to old experiences and ruminating, it's connected to there. Stomach, we're not really going to talk about much today, but it's important because the emotion is stress and anxiety. So if we're stressed and anxious, then it's going to affect our stomach. If our stomach is out of balance, we're going to feel stressed and anxious. So again, it's a symbiotic relationship. So we need to be able to release those stored emotions, and then it gives us more space to fill in with what we want, which is more energy and more joy. So we'll just take a little short time here to release a couple of trying the large intestine meridian. So as you can see here on my hand in the diagram, it's just right here. And this is something we have access to any day, anytime. And you might notice, is it tender? Is it sore? Anytime you're not feeling well, you can just try massaging this point for 30 or 60 seconds, either side, and just noticing. So take the time now, find that point right here, and we'll do a breathing exercise at the same time. So I want you to just find that point, start to massage, close your eyes, and as we breathe in, as we exhale, we're gently going to whisper shh sound, okay? So close your eyes. Deep inhale, let the belly expand. And as you're massaging, shh. You can do that a couple of times. Then we'll move on to large intestine at point number 11, which is right in the middle here at the bend of your arm. Start to massage there. Find that point. Maybe it's a little bit tender or sore. And this time, as we breathe in, as we exhale, we're going to say, ha. Close your eyes. Inhale. Let the belly expand. And last one, right here on the sides of the nose. You can do one or both, depending. You might notice some areas are more sore than another. Just gently massage there. And this time, as we inhale, as we exhale, we're going to say chew. Okay? Close your eyes. Inhale deeply through the nose. And as you exhale, chew. Then release your hands, close your eyes, take a deep breath. Just notice how you feel. Now we'll move on to the small intestine. Now, some of these are on the back of the shoulder, so you may or may not be able to reach them, or you could use a tennis ball or one of those little, like the shepherd's crook. First, you can see the bones in the hand here, so it's just on the outside tarsal, right here, right at the top of the knuckle, just where the above the joint. So again, massage there gently. And this time we'll go back to say, as we exhale, we'll say shh again. So close your eyes. Inhale. Exhale. Shh. And open your eyes. And now the next you're going to find just where the arm bone is sort of meeting into the glenoid fossa, which is the name of this little butt here. Let's zoom in. Just underneath that connection. So if you can reach there, just give that a little massage. And again, as we inhale deeply, as we exhale, we're going to say ha again, okay? Close your eyes. Deep inhale. Easy breath. This one might be a little bit harder to reach. Small intestine 11. It's in the middle of the shoulder blade. So as you can see, the shoulder blade ridge comes down here, and then it's just about right in the middle. If you have trouble reaching it, as I said, you can go against the wall with a tennis ball or use one of those kind of crooks, massage crooks. So we'll massage there again. And as we exhale, we're going to say chew, okay? Close your eyes, deep inhale. Exhale. And release. Close your eyes. Take a couple of deep breaths. And just notice how you feel. And the next thing we're going to do is come back to that truce that we've made with our body. Just think about how far this body has carried you. How lucky we are to live in this incredible machine. I call it my third dimensional interface. It's the interface between my spirit and the world. And the more I take care of it, the better my quality of life is. So we need to stop being so hard on ourselves. We've spent our whole lives up until now maybe trying to be something else than we are. Now is the time to just really accept who we are, where we are, how we are, and just be where we are, and then be the best version of ourselves in that place. So if you just take one thing away today, it's to notice your thoughts when you see yourself in the mirror and see if you can shift it instead of wanting it to be different, accepting it for how it is, and creating that two-way conversation that I mentioned, where you're listening to the body, where if the body doesn't want to work out today, you're going to do something more gentle. If you need some extra sleep, you're going to take that extra sleep. You're going to learn how to say no. If your body isn't up for something, it's just not up for something. It's not. We've spent all this time up until now taking care of everyone around us. And this main shift in midlife is to begin to take care of ourselves. And this is part of the rewiring of our brain that's happening, which we will go over a little bit deeper in another video. So that's something that I offer to you. The other thing is to find joy. Find something you love to do. Maybe it's pickleball. Maybe it's dancing or Zumba. Maybe it's hiking or whatever. Maybe it's coffee with friends. But really embracing the joy. Not doing things out of habit or obligation. Doing it because it nourishes your spirit. Those kind of things. Finding a particular food that you really love that's healthy. Maybe it's salmon and you love salmon and you know it's good for you and you eat it and you don't worry about it, or avocados, anything. Just anything that you find that really nourishes your spirit is so, so important. And then laughter. I love this quote. I didn't make it up, but I wish I did. Finding ways to laugh every day. And as you're finding things that nourish your spirit and find joy, you're going to find things to laugh about. Laughter is the best medicine, except for diarrhea. You might just want some Imodium or some other medicine for that. So I want you to just think about all the things we talked about and choose one thing. We didn't get into humming, but either setting your watch to remind you to breathe or just starting to hum. Humming is actually calms your brain and will move you into a parasympathetic state. So we don't have to be, a singer, but we can hum along to whatever tune, or even just tuneless humming in the car or as you're going about your day. It's a great way to just calm your nervous system. Ideally, you're getting 30 minutes of fresh air every day. You're getting the sun on your face. Early in the morning is the best time because it's signaling your brain to wake up and to start producing energy for you. And as I said, you want to find one thing a day that you eat that nourishes you. Maybe it's nuts. Maybe it's, I don't know, maybe it's a protein smoothie. And then do one thing that brings you joy. So even out of all these things, just find one thing. Find one thing that's going to improve the quality of your life. And so then that kind of brings me to the end of our slides. And so as I mentioned, I do offer group coaching, and I am doing a group coaching special right now. And let me just see here. So it's 12 weeks, and we are going to be doing one-on-one coaching sessions where I'll get everybody set up. And then we'll be doing group calls with ongoing supports. And then we'll have all the community together. It's going to be a time for you to really focus on yourself, to nourish yourself, to heal. We've just talked about the gut today. Like I mentioned, over the next few weeks, I'm going to be doing some more webinars. And once those are finished, then the access to the coaching will close. We'll probably start kind of around the middle end of November and then carry on from there. So if you're feeling like you want to go deeper, if you feel like you're ready for a bigger change, then you're certainly welcome to reach out. Let me just put um, I'm going to put the link in the notes below in the description. Okay, so you'll be able to go there and find out. Just for this weekend, for joining the webinar, I'm adding an additional 20% off just until Monday. Each week as we go through the webinars, the price will just go up a little bit more each time until the group is full. So if you're feeling called, definitely reach out and we can have a chat and see if it's something that is a good fit for you. And then I just want to let's just go back to this one. And then I just want to take time to just close the circle. So again, just get comfortable in your chair. You can put your hand on your heart, both hands on your heart, one hand on your belly, hands in your lap, whatever you feel. Sit up tall, close your eyes. Take a deep breath in. First, I just want to express my gratitude to you, to taking the time to come and carve out this time for yourself. And then find some gratitude for yourself. Be grateful to your body, grateful to how far it's brought you, and grateful for having the time to be able to spend to take care of it. Take a few deep breaths. And again, just feel into your body. Notice what, if anything, has changed from the beginning of our class. And just gently say to yourself, my body is strong, my mind is clear, my heart is open. I am exactly where I need to be. Take a deep breath and then open your eyes. Thank you so much for taking the time to join with me. If you signed up through the website, then you'll get a notification about the next webinar. Otherwise, just keep your eyes open or reach out to me directly at info@expansioncoach.ca. Thank you. Have a wonderful day. Okay, so I just wanted to add this on at the end here. So I started Amazon affiliate page so that I can recommend certain products. You certainly don't have to buy them from the affiliate link, but this is just going to be a kind of place where you can find anything that I recommend in the videos. So what we did talk about in the video today was definitely the GAPS diet book is a great book. If you have any questions about it, definitely reach out. And the other one that I would recommend for just about everybody is the Menopause Reset. No matter where you are in your perimenopause or menopause journey, it is just an amazing, amazing manual to kind of guide you through and help you understand what's happening. Some of the information in there has been updated. So if you do have questions, let me know. So it's a very easy read, can be read in just an afternoon or couple of days. And the other thing that I would probably recommend that anybody could try is just this Cleanse Smart first colon cleanse to just sort of gently start to clean out the digestive system. Unless you do have a known bowel issue, IBS, colitis, anything like that, then definitely not. Anything else, I wouldn't recommend specifically for anybody unless we've had a consultation. And then if we've had a consultation, then I can recommend specific things for you. So yeah, I'm going to put all the links down below, and then we will see you in the next video.